Hello and welcome to Castanet's Weekend Review. I'm Jen Zielinski. Our top story. Tara Stanley and her family are without a proper roof over their heads this Christmas, thanks to a naked man who trashed their ceiling. Last weekend, while Stanley, her boyfriend and roommate were out of town, a 24-year-old man broke into the home through a vent above the master bedroom window. The man allegedly smashed through the ceiling in every room of the house, rummaged through drawers and damaged furniture. He then took all his clothes off before trying to leave the home back through the vent he came in through. Neighbors called the police, who arrested the suspect, who was lodged in the vent and suffering from hypothermia. Stanley is now worried the man will return to the neighborhood as he has been released from custody. She also says her home is unlivable and she was without a roof over her head only days before Christmas. A quiet West Kelowna neighborhood was put on alert this week when police shut down a residential street and swarmed in with canines, large rifles, and a tactical unit. RCMP were attempting to arrest a 37-year-old man who had fled from officers earlier in the day during an attempted traffic stop. They executed an arrest warrant at the house and took the man into custody. Police say he faces potential charges of a dangerous operation of a motor vehicle as well as driving while prohibited. Castanet received a tip the man was a known drug dealer and police had attempted to arrest him earlier in the week. In another West Kelowna incident, the couple who was badly beaten during a home invasion were mistakenly targeted. Both were taken to hospital with serious injuries after their house was broken into. The husband still remains in critical condition. RCMP are investigating the possible connection between the home invasion and a subsequent break-and-enter to the house next door. A neighbor previously told Castanet the occupant of the home next door, which was broken into the following day, was the intended target. Police say this incident was not random and the public is not at risk. A West Kelowna resident who lost her son a year ago to suicide has decided to give back in his name this Christmas. Sherry Ewart and her mother spent the last few weeks collecting warm clothes and basic necessities to make hampers for those less fortunate. She then made 150 invitations and gave them out to those on the street in downtown Kelowna, asking them to stop by Prospera Place parking lot this week and help themselves to the donations.
There's so many people out there that need help, and a lot of people treat them differently. And that's wrong. They're the same as us. You know, they just fell on hard circumstances, and you know, it's not difficult for somebody to help someone. You know, like just reaching out, just having conversation, treating them like they're regular people.
Ewart hopes to continue the tradition next year with some added support from the community. Snow dusted much of the Okanagan Valley this week, giving us the opportunity to have a white Christmas. However, on the interior highways, winter conditions wreaked havoc for drivers. Tuesday, BC Air Ambulance was called to the scene of an accident on the connector, 40 kilometers east of Merritt. The road was closed for about an hour as crews dealt with a rolled over vehicle. On the Coquihalla, a semi-truck rolled onto its side near the summit. The snow that fell overnight Thursday will stick around for at least the next week as temperatures are forecast to hover around zero. Another storm system is possible Sunday night, which is good news for local ski hills. Premier Christy Clark stopped by the Castanet office this week for a one-on-one interview with Wayne Moore. Here's an excerpt from their conversation.
There's always hiccups. What did you learn? What are you not the most embarrassed, but what did you learn?
I think, well, you know, I would say the issues with the Ministry of Children and Families this year have been a really important lesson, a reminder for everybody in government, including me, that just because you think you're doing things as well as you can, doesn't mean that there isn't a lot more you can do to try and do it better, that you always have to strive to improve. And you know, in that ministry, they work really hard. Frontline social workers bust their guts trying to do the best they possibly can. But you know, and I think the ministry has done really well, but they can do better. And we've heard recently from Bob Plekas, who's gone to look at that, some really good recommendations about how we can improve. And so my view, and I've said to all my colleagues, what we have to remember is that we can never stop striving. We can never ever stop. We've always got to try and be better, to try and do better, and remember that we never have it perfect. There's always more we can get done.
Well, that wraps up Castanet's Weekend Review. I'm Jen Zielinski. Thanks for watching. Remember to send your news tips to news@castanet.net and follow us on Twitter at @CastanetNews.